Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. I'm your host of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. My name is David Bradley, training facilitator and coach with Grant Cardone. I'm bringing you weekly sales solutions, sales tips, sales strategies, and a couple attitude adjustments thrown in there for good measure directly from the 10X world of Grant Cardone. Check it out. 80% of what we do here is 100% free. So the purpose of the podcast is to make sure that the free stuff we're putting down, you're picking it up and you're plugging it into your sales, your business, and your life. So thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button. In fact, thanks in advance for doing that if you've done it already. Much appreciated. Also, if you find value from the Cardone Solutions Podcast, if you're getting something out of it, please make sure that you've shared this out into the cyberspace so that other folks can benefit from it too. Now, today's episode, we're going to be talking about things you can do right now, today, to begin your journey or maybe even complete your journey along the road to becoming a master salesperson. These are the steps to become a master. But before we get into that, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, shall we? Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by, well, me. Actually, my book, How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. This is a no-nonsense approach to you finally kicking the habit before the habit leads to you kicking the bucket. This book literally journals my experience of going through being a pack and a half, sometimes 2-pack a day guy, to haven't had a cigarette since 2002. So it's written by me, a smoker who doesn't smoke anymore, and I'll explain what that means in the book. I'm going to give you the tools that you need to take your life back from nicotine. I'm going to show you the subtle differences between stopping and quitting and why it's better to stop than to quit. There's also bonus chapters at the end. This is the new and expanded version of it. It's available on Audible, Kindle, and paperback. But Dave, I don't smoke. That's fine. Let me ask you the question that my dad asks in the foreword of the book. What do you smoke? What habits do you have that need kicking? Smoking can be used as a metaphor. Just look at some of the reviews that are already out there. So head on over to stopdon'tquit.com for more information or to just hook up, right? Get yourself the Audible of it. You can listen to it anywhere you go in the car. I'd love your feedback for it either way. That's stopdon'tquit.com. Pop on over there and check this thing out. Stopdon'tquit.com. Thank you so much. Okay, so how do we become a master salesperson? What do we do? How are we going to work this out? Okay. Is it fair to say that becoming a master at any skill is going to require practice? Is it also fair to say that selling in and of itself is a skill? And then lastly, would you agree that as a skill, even sales proficiency, just proficiency, never mind the mastery for a second, would demand practice? So that means if we want to become a master salesperson, what must we do? Practice. Okay, so let's look at two definitions of that word, practice. The first is for practice where it's used as a noun. Repeated exercise in or performance of an activity or skill so as to acquire or maintain proficiency in it. The second is for practice as a verb. So like a doctor has a practice, medical practice. Okay. The second is a verb, meaning to perform an activity or exercise, a skill, repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency. So there's three key words within both of these definitions. Repeated, regularly, and proficiency. How you practice is the repetition of an action with the goal of improvement, and it helps us perform with more ease, speed, and confidence. Okay, so first things first, let's ask a couple questions. Question number one. What are you currently practicing on right now? This is the first question you need to ask yourself if you want to become a master salesperson. You are practicing on something either way. What are you currently practicing on? If you're a manager or if you're in a leadership position, the same question applies. What are your salespeople practicing on? What are your managers practicing on? Who are they practicing with? There is no, you cannot say nobody. Because if it's not fellow salespeople, then who are they practicing on? Yes, this is an intentional awkward silence for you as a manager or a salesperson to recognize that if you're not practicing with a coworker, then you are practicing on what? Who? Customers. That's right. Okay. Second question I'd like you to ask yourself to become a master salesperson is, who are you learning from? Managers, let me come back to you again for a second. Who do you want your salespeople learning from? Because if you're not training your salespeople, then that means there are 3 other groups that are training your salespeople. And it's not free either. The 3 other people I'm about to list off come with a very expensive price tag. The media, your customers, and fellow salespeople. That who is training your salespeople. You got to figure out what that's costing you and your company. Salespeople need content and material that is going to allow them to practice and learn how to become a master salesperson in an environment where they're not just learning from experience. Because we're learning every single day no matter what. We're all making decisions based on experiences and what is being communicated to us. Whether you're an individual or you're a leader in a sales organization, how much skin do you want in this game? You got to control this content. And what do you think is going to be more cost effective? Yeah, it's a good thought, right? Third question for you. Now that we have some understanding in terms of the what and the who, how? How becomes the next question. You don't want to regularly repeat the wrong behavior over and over and over and over again. You build a pattern. That's how you get salespeople with bad habits. They found a shortcut, worked once, they repeated it over and over and over. And actually, like for many of us, we're already regularly and repeatedly practicing the wrong behaviors. So look, customers are they shop and buy very differently now, incredibly different. So why are we still following systems that are clearly at this point outdated? And why are we doing sales training that was conceived before the internet? How we practice is as important as what we practice and with whom. We want our practice to be effective. So to have effective practice, to become a master salesperson, it must be consistent. So call yourself out here. How often are you practicing selling? Well, I do it every day. No. Practice it. Soccer team. Remember when you were kids? When we were kids? You go to soccer practice, not soccer game. There's 2 different things. It must be intensely focused. So think about this if you're a salesperson or a manager, okay, for a sales guy, sales gal. What's one thing you know you got to get better at? To smash the month. I mean, just crush it. There's typically one thing. So does your practice intently focus on that? Managers, what about your sales team? When I listed that question, I know you thought of something. Okay? Could be thinking more entrepreneurial. Could be making more phone calls. Could be better at follow-up. Could be prospecting. Could be just staying positive and motivated. Could be anything. What is it for your team? Practice must target content or weaknesses that lie at the edge of one's own current ability. So how many different times can a salesperson handle and overcome the objection, not interested? Or just looking, for those of you in retail. How often do you hear it? How effectively can you handle it and maneuver through it and move yourself into the sales process, which was the purpose of this interaction to begin with? So, in order to get the most from your practice, here we are talking about becoming a master salesperson, and we flip this into practice. Isn't that cool? Okay. Number one, focus on the task at hand. These are the tips to get the most from these practices. So when you're there, be all in, which means you got to eliminate all distractions. That's number two. Squirrel. Get rid of them. Put the phone down for a little bit. Focus on the task at hand and eliminate the distractions. Start slow. So let's just say we're going to work on not interested. Okay? Standard objection for those of you on the phone. Those of you in retail, just looking. Not buying anything today. Let's say we're just going to practice handling that. You want to start slowly with it. Get it right. Get it better. Coordination is built through repetition. Correct or incorrect repetition is what builds coordination. Remember when you learned how to ride a bike? Start with training wheels. Take the training wheels off. Somebody holds the bike, pushes you. You go a little bit, and you get better and better. Coordination is built through repetition. Okay? Break your practice up into short bursts. A minute ago, I talked about distractions. We're in an ADD world. So what if you just spent 10 minutes in the morning just warming up? Warming up, practice agreeing with people. Number one rule of selling, always, always, always agree. What if you just practice that for 2 minutes and then worked on handling that objection for 8? And then later in the afternoon, hey, what are you hearing today? What are you struggling with? Oh man, I'm just getting beat up on this not interested thing still. Perfect. Let's practice it. Another 10 minutes. You also want to practice in your brain. Every top producing athlete on the planet, or top performing, I guess, top producing salesperson, top performing athlete, kind of the same. They visualize. They visualize how they want it to go. They visualize how they want it to end. They visualize things that are happening and how they're going to handle it. Doesn't necessarily mean that's how it's going to be when you get there. Stay neutral. But man, visualize. Practice it in your head. So what do we got? How do we wrap all this up? Number one, make sure you know what you're practicing on right now, or technically who. Okay? Who you're learning from, where you're getting your information. Is it current? Is it accurate? And then how are you doing it? You doing it right? Are you doing it consistently? Is it focused? Does it target a weakness or build on things you know you got to improve on? Okay? So here's a call to action for you. I'm just going to wrap this up with a call to action. If you take what I just gave you and you plug it into your existing sales training, you're doing something right now either way. You plug what I just gave you into your existing sales training, what type of production increases could you expect? And then what would it be worth for you, if you're not already, and your sales team to have technology that's available to you that makes the process of practicing how to become a master salesperson simple? Well, that's where Cardone University comes into play. We have that technology for you. That program is literally a perfect tool for anyone who wants to become a master salesperson. And managers, if you don't have the bandwidth to do this on your own, rest easy because we have coaching that goes with it. You literally can engage in a consistent program that enables you and your people to intently focus and target content or weaknesses that lie right at the edge of your current abilities. And we have created a training process that circles around these principles I just gave you, that can generate for you at least 15 to 30% increase in production in the first 90 days on the program. Don't believe us? Try it out. Challenge us on it. Like the worst that could happen is you sell more. So I got 2 different websites, okay? If you are an individual salesperson or a manager and you just want some access to Cardone U to see what this whole thing's about, head on over to cardonesolutions.com/Cardone U free. That's cardonesolutions.com/Cardone, the letter U, the word free. cardonesolutions.com/Cardone U free. Now, managers, business owners, if you have a sales team, I have a different place for you to go where we will do a live, free consultation with you and your managers and give you a full-blown prescription for how to train your team with or without Cardone University, we will show you some things you can do with your group currently that will increase sales volume and profitability 15 to 30% in 90 days if you do what we tell you. Cardone U, access to that program, you'll get 2 weeks free on it as well. So you can actually see how Cardone U can support what we're going to give you. And then you get to make a decision as to whether or not you want to sign up for it or not. Now to get on that plan, all you got to do is head over to cardonesolutions.com/10x your team. cardonesolutions.com/10x your team. cardonesolutions.com/10x your team. There, videos with Grant, free training with Grant, and then a form to fill out to get on my calendar so I can do that for you as well, do a free consultation for you. Okay? And this has been another exciting episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast. What was the moral of today's story? The moral of today's story is practice. Practice, and when you're done practicing, practice some more. And if you haven't practiced today, then you are out of practice. It takes 24 hours, sometimes less. I think it might even take a turkey Reuben to get rusty. So if you're not practicing every day with somebody, well, you're practicing on your customers every single day, guaranteed. Unless you're practicing on your coworker. Who are you getting your information from? Where's that coming from? Is the media training your salespeople right now? Is Facebook training your salespeople? Is Facebook training you? Are you getting your training from YouTube and Instagram? Where are you getting your training? Where are you getting your data? Is it consistent? Is it focused? Does it target content or weaknesses that take you beyond the edge of your current abilities? Okay, that's the challenge. Practice. Practice. One more time. Hey, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to leave you with the words of Grant Cardone, which would be great. Because nothing else pays, which means what? Practice.